Just let me know when to hit play. Oh,
Hit it.
good evening. Welcome to the After Hours show. My name is Joe in Norway. I'll be your cook this evening, and I'm joined by Ann Lee, a retired college professor and a community member at the Daily Coast. They are a member of the National Council of Independent Scholars and is a contributor to the book, The Political Economy of Art, Making the Nation of Culture. Darjan here or no?
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Ann.
Don't think
And we
so.
might be joined by
Yes.
Arjun from deep into history later on. You better show up.
All
I'm
right.
making pagoda. Harsh here. Harsh isn't even our subcontinent folks aren't here for me to culturally appropriate. Shit. Oh well.
More foraging, eh? More
Yeah,
foraging.
well, I didn't have to do all of it. My neighbor somewhere in the village, I haven't met her, but they delivered a bag of foraged wild ramps. So these are like the
Cool.
wild
Very cool.
garlicky onions. So they're almost off. I saved some
Yeah.
for the show here. So you got lovely flowers
Excellent.
there. And John, your favorite meals that require special handling and special protective equipment.
I thought you were
We've-
getting kinky with your cooking, Joe.
Oh, you don't want to be rubbing these in those places. Oh goodness. Oh my lord. We are almost at the point where the stinging nettles are you're not going to want to forage them any longer. So they'll get a little bit too bitter and whatnot. So I've got a bunch of stinging nettles here. And some other friends of the show, we've got the famous goutweed, a little bit of goutweed, and a little bit of, let's forget the name of that one. That is a lady's mantle. It's a bit too much tannins, but these have nice little yellow flowers. And we've got a new entrance to the foraging. Technically, these aren't really so much edible as more presentational. These are woodland geranium or cranesbill. Get it down here. They have a kind of palmate leaf, and they've got gorgeous little purple flowers. So you can decorate your salads. The flowers are edible, but they're hardly taste. But more for color and pizzazz. So what I was planning to do, I've been meaning to cook for Arjun with pakora. So pakora, South Asian appetite fritter is basically like potato. It can be all kinds of different vegetables and whatnot. But we're gonna mash some potato, and we're gonna, in order to neutralize the stinging nettles, we need to blanch those in water real quick, and then we'll chop those up along with our other forage friends here, and we'll make a mix with um, chickpea flour and garlic and ginger and a little chili,
Nice.
and we'll toast some coriander seeds and cumin seeds. And I tried to make a little nice presentation here. I just got a little sloppy. We've got haldi or gurkmai or turmeric for color to get a nice yellow color. Got salt. We've got hing or asafoetida, which is a gum, what is it? Aleo gum resin. It's the signature garlic onion flavor that is just kind of, when you taste curry, that's kind of what you're tasting, that asafoetida. And what meal would be a meal without our little friend, the white white powder of umami? Just a touch, just up a little bit. And as a condiment for this, I thought I would make wild ramp and just a touch of mint. Don't want too much. Mostly ramp chutney with a little cream it up with a little bit of cashews and probably cumin and lemon juice. And then I'll make this is from my friend who has a apple juicery, a Dutch. Oh, let's turn the water down. This is strop. If you've heard of stroop wafler or waffles, stroop waffles, Dutch waffles with a kind of
Oh, right.
sour, sweet, sour, tangy paste in the middle of it. That's strop, which is uh, basically apple molasses. So this is the North's version of tamarind. So it's the closest component of flavor you can get is tamarind. So this is functionally tamarind for the North. So we'll make a little strop chutney with that, and a wild ramps chutney with this, and then we'll make our potato wild greens. Again, these are just out the field to the back door. Got so many things to eat. We're gonna have to, this week we've got to pick a ton of stinging nettles and blanch and then freeze them for later because they're about to flower. So that's the plan we've got going on here. I don't suppose it's been busy this week. Heard some stupid shit this week. Oh my Lord.
Well, lots of, but what's interesting, of course, is that within the next couple of hours, they're going to complete removing Trump's name from the Kennedy Center.
Oh, humanity.
And for those of you who care about that stuff, there is a live feed. Even the AP is doing it, a live feed of the workers with their scaffolding, and they're going to pull down the Donald J. Trump blah blah from the facade. So that will be very exciting. Well, someone described it as watching paint dry, but and they were last time I looked, they were nowhere near pulling that crap off. So and it took them a while, I know, from at the front end to put it in there. So it's going to take a little time, but mainstream media has treated it with a certain amount of excitement. So and even occasionally showing the live image. So I'm hoping that C-SPAN will actually show it, but that's a whole nother story. There is a crowd. There is a crowd, and so that's exciting. Other exciting things are that there's supposed to be a ceasefire. And Trump, for the 40th or 39th time, has said the peace is at hand when it isn't. So, and we've gotten used to his sort of crying wolf on this matter. So, and of course, the way that he phrased it was to put in a cross promotion for the UFC fight, I guess they're called fights, on Sunday, which happens on his birthday, which was supposed to be the day. And I think he only said it that it was Sunday because he wanted to, obviously plug the UFC fight. And it's just insane that he's so brand conscious. He's just such an idiot.
Always be
I
branding.
mean, and it's so damned obvious that he did that.
Mm.
Well, that yeah, right. The UFC fight, I'm not I have to attend the UFC fight, so I'm sending Vance to sign whatever memorandum of understanding. The reality, of course, now there's a reality here, is that the Iranians said, well, we don't, you may think that we agree to everything, but we don't yet. And so it's just the same old stuff. And obviously, the announcement came on the same day as the SpaceX IPO. So there's a whole bunch of other things going on here. There was an effect on, a slight effect on oil markets. I think the price dropped actually slightly for one version of crude oil. So there's that.
On a note on that
were,
Tesla IPO, or not Tesla IPO, the SpaceX IPO. Those poor bastards at Tesla. The average Tesla worker will have to work. Let me check my notes here. 28.19 million. That's million with an M. Million years to reach parity with their boss.
Yeah. And the declaration today was that Elon's a trillionaire. So there's that. And some,
Does
there's a
money
lot of
actually have a value? Does it mean anything? It seems kind of like
well, capital has value. Money
okay.
is a little more fluid. The idea here is that capital is being built, and it all could go to hell very quickly. With a looming recession is continuing, so all this IPO business could be for naught. On the other hand, rich folks want to create this huge, bubble or margin on for that insulates them from the poor people. But they're going to need a lot more cops. That's just the thing. I think we're really in very strange waters. It was a busy week also. Graham Plattner, the Democratic senatorial candidate, won his primary, and pretty convincingly. So that's sort of okay, I guess, because Janet Mills sort of essentially opted out, and the other two challengers, while interesting, didn't get the endorsement of Bernie Sanders. And so I think there's that going on. There's a sub argument that's going on with why should we support Graham Plattner, because he's not nice to some women or ex-girlfriends or whatever. And also there's the Nazi tattoo thing. So, but these are all minor elements considering that Susan Collins gave us Kavanaugh, and contributed to some of the real problems that have existed in the close votes in the Senate. So there are reasons to rationalize voting and supporting, because I'm not in Maine, Graham Plattner. Now, there's other things about Plattner, that they have to do with, weird things relative to his military service, that he worked as a quote unquote security contractor for a little bit.
Mm.
I mean, he describes that he was just driving people around, but he was working for one of those security companies, hitherto not named actually a lot. So that's a whole nother story.
Shit, man,
And
my alarm bells go off or for politicians when they have a military career, because that already makes me skeptical. Why would they join the military? Second, that they're running to run for office. Should just tip you off. Like, oh, what's going on here?
well, it's Maine, so chances are that's kind of the way. That is
Selling
one
points.
positive thing
Mhm.
to Democrats. But
You got to look tough.
Plattner has voted for Susan Collins in the various Maine elections, so there's that.
Mhm. Mhm.
And the
He is more
appearance is
popular
that
than Lindsey Graham down in South Carolina. So he
definitely,
had a bigger
definitely,
sweep.
and Dr. Annie, yeah, I mean the election down there is Dr. has got to win. I mean, I really hope that that's going to happen. Um,
Mhm.
that's a whole nother story. It was weird to realize that James Clyburn is the only black elected official at the federal level in South Carolina. Well, I mean, if you don't include what's his name, the senator who apparently carries water for Trump in kinds of very strange ways and never gets anything for it. In other words, he does all this, yammering for Trump, and Trump never rewards him. He's never been rewarded for whatever. Maybe other things have occurred, gratuities of one kind or another. So there's that.
Oh, here we go.
And
We're gonna give
so,
give our little stingers a little bath to neutralize them. Just shock them a little bit so that we can actually handle them to cut. So this will shortly conclude the rubber glove having requirement. Oh, somehow I get stung even wearing gloves. No, that's it. Just toss them into blanch them real
now
quick. Toss them in the ice cold water. Good to go.
they have a medicinal use too, don't they? The
Uh,
stinging nettles, or I'm milk
sure.
thistle.
Milk thistle. Yeah. I'm not sure what the medicinal uses of the
Well,
stinging nettles are. I
I
stick to the food.
go ahead.
Mm. Although I do have some Norwegian plant medicine Bible out in the corner, but I haven't cracked that open yet.
There we go.
Oh, and I do have this one will be, but James has this one at home. Famous in
Nice.
health food stores and
Yes.
whole
Classic.
yeah, very very much so.
Classic text. Indeed. So what are you blanching now? That's not the stinging nettles, is it? Oh no, it's the stinging nettles in cold water. That's it.
Yeah. So now I'll chop those
Okie
up with
dokie.
the other greens, and then we'll start get our mix going, and then we'll start to make our chutneys, and then later on we'll go outside because I
Yum.
think it's just about started raining, so it's great. We had a sunny day almost all day, and finally starts rain right when we're about to deep fry with oil.
Same here. It's raining
Terrible
actually here.
combination.
It was hotter than hell yesterday. So Anyway, yes, absolutely. It's been otherwise busy during the week, aside from primary elections, the upcoming UFC fight, which some people have tried to stop, but I don't think they're going to be able to do that from a legal perspective. There's so much counterforce operated, but we've discovered that Trump's making money from this, which is unlike other events that have happened on the White House grounds. Um, so ethics wise, I mean, there's so much impeachable stuff that, hopefully the Democrats, when they come into power, are going to just start revealing all this stuff, and they're sort of going to juxtapose that against the fact that all this stonewalling on the Epstein files, and there's just more stuff. You can't stop this other stuff. I mean, the fact that Trump knew that underage girls were being brought to, and this has been, already revealed, but the fact is you have all this other background information going on and reiterated. I think it's the Miami Herald brought that up again, that Trump knew that there were underage girls at parties at Mar-a-Lago. So there's a whole other thing there that's at work. And the reality, of course, is that all the signs were there. Teen beauty pageants, model agencies, all, I mean, all Trump branded. I mean, you sort of have to think something else is going on there. And the fact that there's $1 billion in money transfers between Trump and Epstein, there's that. And then, of course, the background against which that is occurring is that Todd Blanche really wants to be Attorney General. But the reality is, I mean, if anyone actually read the transcript of his interview with Ghislaine Maxwell, you'd see that he was being a crappy lawyer on the one hand. On the other hand, he was being a good lawyer in protecting his personal client, that is Trump, and doing that work while, so-called deputy attorney general at that moment. So there's
the
that.
attorney general, like he said, is the president is his boss, correct?
Right. Well, so yeah.
Isn't that a fallacy?
Well, I mean,
Justice Department.
That's the same
head
thing.
Of the Justice Department is. That's essentially what he said to Congress.
That and being in charge of the IRS. I mean, this whole business about the January 6th rioters getting paid for their trouble. That, the slush, the $1.8 billion slush fund apparently is going to get killed. But the collateral effect, and it's not an unintended benefit, by not being ever audited, or his companies or his children, by the IRS. So there's a whole, that was the reality. It's a Trojan horse of some kind. So that's happening. I mean, some people are really irritated with that particular component of it. So God knows whether that will actually occur, because there's going to be a lot of challenges, and especially if the Democrats take over, that ain't going to happen, I think. So there's that. And of course, Trump, he just throws crap out there. I mean, he says stupid stuff. Oh, I'm going to keep the claw, the venue for the UFC fight on the South Lawn longer, whatever he meant by that. And then similarly, and I pointed this out elsewhere, that apparently his lawyers claim that you can't challenge him on the arch because it, quote unquote, hasn't started yet. Well, the reality is, of course, that there's all this other stuff going on via the Park Service and a bunch of other things that are actually happening. And they're happening sort of without any kind of oversight from the usual suspects in terms of, all of these commissions that Trump has sort of inserted all of his own people in, and so and the reality of that stupid arch is that it's not going to be made out of stone, rather, and the cheapness of Trump is it's going to be concrete with granite, surfacing, cladding, as it were, and which is just, with all due respect, tacky. But that, because most, monumental buildings, like in DC, are stone constructions. So, and then they're trying to put in a deal, which occurs because his lawyers say it hasn't really started, so you can't sue us in terms of stopping us. So they're going to work 20-hour days, 10-hour days with two, in order to get it constructed before the end of the Trump term. I mean, that alone should be just,
This is the triumphal arch.
yeah. Well, I mean, the damn thing is 250 feet tall. It's going to need a crane, several cranes probably, feet. And I think the approach, I don't know if Lane's here, the approach, the FAA covers, has lots of rules about, approaches to stuff. And I think the limit is the floor limit is so you can just imagine on a bad weather day. I mean, we know that there was air traffic control in the first week of the collision between the helicopter and the American Airlines flight on the approach to Reagan National. So there's other stuff that could happen. Terrible things could happen. I mean, and the airport thing was also because of the cutbacks on the air traffic controllers and et cetera, et cetera. So Trump's responsible for a lot of stuff, and it could be pretty bad at the end. A sane person's point of view, he's building it because he wants to have the tallest building other than the Capitol itself. It will dominate the landscape. It'll be this permanent monument to Trump. Although, needless to say, a lot of people constructed or will tear it down, like so many Trump things will get torn down in subsequent. Or maybe, I think there should be Trump, sewage plants that, put his name on the sewage plants, that water treatment. I think that's really Trump's name is best associated in perpetuity. So there's that. So yes, I ranted a little bit on the architectural construction. So there's that. Trump is trying to seize control of all of the public golf courses in DC because he wants to convert one and then probably privatize it so that it'll make money, because it's what he did with the ice rink in Central Park, and he failed at that. Well, anyway, that it'll just be typical Trump stuff, creating things and then screwing them up, just like our government. So that's happening. The thing, Trump, the victory, though. He wants that Iran, but it's not a victory because people are saying, and it seems fairly clear because at the earlier versions of the memorandum of understanding, the draft versions and other discussions are obviously separating out the discussion on nuclear weapons or whatever, nuclear material. They're kicking it down the road. In other words, we're going to have a discussion about nuclear materials, but that's not part of this front end memorandum because Trump really wants that victory. Now, the point is, of course, that it will open up the Strait of Hormuz, which brings it essentially back to the state it was in. I mean, that's the optimistic side. The state it was in on the 27th of February. So it was okay on the 27th of February. All this time that's happened, about 100 days, is unnecessary. It was, created this massive problem. There's a One Coal article that talks about how the fossil fuel market or industry has been screwed for the next decade because of this little, war. So that there's that. Technically, the U.S. will stop its blockade. It really hasn't been doing very well at the blockade. And of course, Trump created disinformation a couple of days ago by saying, oh, well, this is the first time that the Iranians have discovered that we're robbing, we're taking all this million barrels of oil. That's not true. I mean, the truth of the matter is that ships were being, escorted. A significant number of them had this other monkey business going on. I think it overlaps with the deliveries to India, but that's a whole nother story. But Trump tried to make a deal of it, like he had this. Trump loves doing this stuff, right? It's the same reason. Documents. He likes showing. He has this prop on. He gets people to come into his little office and show out of office to show that he had this top secret material that he stole essentially from it. And yes, his current chief of staff is a witness to his showing her with other witnesses a top secret document stolen from the U.S. And this was done at Bedminster and not at Mar-a-Lago. So there's a whole nother thing going on in terms of documents stolen. Trump is just being Trump. It's just so sad. What's sad that we can't stop him, or that he moves ahead like, some sort of, I don't know, plague or, infestation. And then he dares you essentially to stop him. And then his other tool is, if you try to stop him, he'll countersue you with a nuisance suits of all kinds. And while that's all amusing lawfare, litigious lawfare, etc., the fact is that people who actually believe in the Constitution and democracy should probably speak up a little bit more. Although we have had, there has been backlash. There has been a variety of things have been overturned. But on the other hand, he's just going ahead and doing things that are, while they may not be criminal, although I think they are, they're certainly unethical or untoward or gauche or tacky. And that's kind of Trump's brand. So, for example, you can buy a commemorative coin for the UFC fight on Sunday. Why you would want one is beyond me, but they're out there, among other tchotchkes and so that's kind of what's going on. Corruption in front of our eyes. Some of us hope that there will be rain on Sunday. Some people are saying that there will be, and that will be interesting if it happens. I mean, the underlying story, of course, is that everyone's, getting a cut out of this. Paramount is getting a cut, and obviously UFC is, why you would have a prize fight or mixed martial arts event on the south lawn of the White House is beyond me. But then again, that's Trump, right? He had all these Teslas in the drive the White House drive, because he likes sort of thinking of the White House as kind of a car lot. I mean, just the fact that he had them there, he thing, and Elon was there, and they joked around and blah blah. But it really was it's a car dealership, which is kind of Trump's brand. He's the kind of guy who, he shows up. He's a celebrity at the opening of car lots. And so that's kind of what it really boils down to, except that he stepped further by having his little mixed martial arts event. The Calling it an art is a whole nother element, but that's for another the reality is that all of these things are part of the whole bribery or racketeering element of how the White House currently operates. And it amazes me that no one has sort of, I mean, there are people doing, ethical coverage and, ProPublica, etc. But the reality is that, he does it to see what he can get away with. I mean, it's so incredibly pathological. I mean, he just does his stuff, and he does it so much, and he does it so obviously, and I mean, daring you to essentially stop him. And people need to do that. Fortunately, Kristen Welker on the weekend decided that she would just simply resist his attempts to sort of bulldoze a certain, all of his usual BS about, literally, it's his lies. And she called him on it. And then he just got angry and stalked off because he had assumed that she would just oh, yes, yes, President Trump, of course, President Trump, because he's sort of used to this a thing that he does at his rallies, where he just yammers on about this and that. And essentially, well, I assume there's going to be a speechifying Trump at the UFC event. What the program is going to look like. I mean, they have all of the fighters listed, but it's all part of another sort of set of things going on that partially has to do the surgence or the resurrection or the retconning of Conor McGregor, the MMA fighter who was leg 5-6 years ago, and apparently quit the sport in order to use performance enhancing drugs in order to make him to recover, to improve his recovery, and is now going to turn. There's a new article on this by Michael Schmidt of the Times on this. So there's that, as though it were important. It's not important, but it is revelatory against the issue of this UFC business. But
Just a food
I'm
pause here.
Yes.
I
Carry
almost
on.
forgot the main ingredients. I don't know if you can pick up on this, but I was trying to get. We've got the red chili, and I almost forgot the seeds. So I had cumin, toasted cumin, and coriander, and then we've got the cranesbill flowers, little geraniums. Got purple, red,
Nice.
green, white, yellow. Should be a very pretty
Right?
fritter.
Yes, it'll be a very nice looking fritter. Yum.
Now we're just working on the chutneys. We've got that off to the side here. We got some cumin toasting for ground cumin for the apple molasses, and we'll just chop up the ramps here, grind them with the cashew, and then we're good to go. Oh, forgot. We'll probably add a green chili to this one too.
Nice.
And not such a fan, but we could put everybody else seems to like this, a little bit of mint in there as well. Power the ramps though.
I'm getting this message that that Zoom is preparing the live stream, but it indicates that the live stream is still there. So I hope that someone is watching this on YouTube to see whether, it's actually recording all this.
Yeah, it says live here on my screen.
Yeah, yeah. So ditto. So anyway, I just thought I would mention that if someone's watching, if someone from our little pod is watching on YouTube, you might see whether there is or isn't a live stream occurring. We should have prepared for that, of course, but the eventuality, but I didn't. I will do that in the future. Anyway, it's been a busy week. Mainly politics, of course, and outrageous politics. The fact that the little toady who's, I think he's in Bakersfield. He's a U.S. attorney, but he's a U.S. attorney in Bakersfield or Fresno or someplace, and they've given him press coverage again, because he's making some noise with no evidence that voting fraud occurred in the California election. But it's the same toady. I mean, he had done this other stuff before that was all Trumpian stuff. So he's one of those newly installed U.S. Trumpist attorneys who just, it is one of the stooges. I mean, it's like that stooge in Missouri, who, they have to, they can't get them in real places, but they have to get them doing their mischief from peripheral or ancillary locations. So that's kind of what's going on. So anyway, there's that. There is, of course, the Trumpian complaint, which has no basis in fact, that there's corruption in the California election. California election is much tighter than a lot of other, elections, and it's pretty ridiculous to even assert that. And Trump, of course, ignores the fact that California elections are sufficiently messy that they operate slowly, and the results, generally are, match the exit polling and stuff. So, and there have been a couple of corrections in the election, but Trump is just annoyed that his stooge, while he may have achieved a certain position in the voting, ultimately, when you count up all the Democrats who voted for different candidates, there's just going to be a landslide against Trump's little reality TV guy. But he's awful shiny. I think that's the kind of thing. The dude appears, I don't know what it is. It's just, it's like he's always moisturized. That's kind of the amusing thing about how he appears. But then, Trump toadies look like that, right? The guy, Pulte, who's the acting, and Trump's pulled this before, where he'll put someone in an acting position, but once there's negative feedback, that'll just go away. And he nominated a U.S. attorney from the Southern District of New York, who also doesn't have security clearance, to be the new director of national intelligence. Kind of an oxymoron anyway. But the thing about Pulte is that he's got a head like a Lego character. I mean, I was hoping that he would, continue on in this to see that our national intelligence is run by a guy with a head like a Lego character. But anyway, and he's going to go back to his day gig anyway of screwing of attempting to find information to prosecute people on mortgage fraud when in fact there was no mortgage fraud at all, or that it happens, or it is so ubiquitous that just in terms of the paperwork and bureaucracy that you could probably, and in fact they did show, that members of the cabinet have exactly the same. I think Scotty Besant and his property in whatever it is, South Carolina, North Carolina, had exactly the same kind of residency issues and whatever. But toadies are out there. They're creating all these kinds of interesting problems. There's that. Trump's popularity is lows for that. The reality, of course, is that most Americans do not, agree with the fact that there is a war or that a war got started. And then we have to sort of roll this back and realize that the war only occurred because of Epstein stuff. And, Netanyahu seized on that and get Trump to go ahead and waste a whole bunch of ordnance on Iran, and which serves other people's interests in that. There are shortages. There's some evidence in certain types of missiles, some of which are ordnance. So there's that. Now, and it because the inventory is low, this means that Congress should be giving their $1.5 trillion military budget. All of these things are part and parcel of the same kind of massive con job grift in our government. And, some of us are fortunate in having representatives who are on this, whereas, up the creek, because there's the disproportionality. Although there's some evidence this week from a polling point of view that the Senate could actually go to Democrats. There's enough slippage in places like Alaska, Ohio. There's just some slippage. And it depends on polling it again, but evidence that it's beginning to slip away from the Republicans, and so that there would be a 4-state shift in senators that would give the Democrats a majority in the Senate. And then the analysis is not good. Maybe it's not good because no one wants to talk too much about the reality, and that is the who's actually ahead in terms of members of the House of Representatives, because there really hasn't been good reporting, tabulating. There's a whole bunch of people retiring. There's a whole bunch of people who, lost or got displaced candidates. So there's a bunch of other things going on. And you can see them in at a variety of levels. And of course, there's the side effect that is the so-called reading, sort of, which technically is illegal, the census, but it's happening, and it's that kind of weird aggression at the state level. I mean, it's weird enough that Tina Phillips, who's the election functionary who tried literally, they had all the evidence. She was convicted of trying to manipulate the votes in Colorado. She was convicted. She was in prison, and for some reason, and of course there's obviously a whole bunch of stories there that need to be told. The Democratic governor Polis of Colorado, pardoned her. Now, the fact, of course, is that she's still a criminal. So there's that, and the reality is that she's quite unrepentant about it. She still fully believes in, election denial, and then all these election deniers are all quite interesting because they're not very smart. Number one, number two, they operate without evidence. They just say stuff, and unfortunately, in certain media outlets, they just sort of uncritically, just shovel that stuff out there. So stenography is at work. So there's that.
Oh, it's
Joe,
time
do you
to
want to yak a little
yeah.
bit?
Yeah, I've got the mint and wild ramps cashew nut
Yum.
chutney and the apple molasses chutney all made. And we're about to go fry up these suckers. We'll go outside. Hopefully the weather's died down and we're not deep frying in rain without someone with an umbrella. But I think it might take me a little bit to get set up here. Oh, just the light rain.
We're actually at the moment where we can begin to talk about the schedule.
Oh wait,
So,
keep going on. Forget the schedule for a bit. We still got a while. We gotta heat up the oil. I gotta make
all right.
the things. We can ask questions of the audience.
Hokey dokey.
Someone must have a
Hokey
question.
dokey.
Nobody's raised their voices.
Somebody has to have an
Lord
opinion
above.
after I made all those. I ranted about this stuff.
Oh, believe we've got light. I had a tremendous breakthrough this week. Well, actually, my plant, a tomato plant in my garden, now has flowers on it. Unbelievable. I
Cool.
can't believe it.
Unbelievable. Well, it's good that the weather is sufficiently supportive of that kind of stuff. That's I mean,
It's in a mini
it's Norway.
greenhouse and it's still 10 degrees. Oh, it's so cold. I actually put my woolen long underwear back on. Oh Lord, I didn't plug the electricity in. Oh, be right back. Oh shoot, I also should probably turn off the Wi-Fi.
Yes. Well, while you're doing that, I can talk a little bit about Ukraine since I haven't talked at all about Ukraine. Apparently, this is sort of there's a shift that's going on, and it's unclear. There's a lot of disinformation, the usual bots and bunch of stuff that suggests that Putin is in bigger trouble, but he's in sort of denial about whatever thing is going on, and his military is still out there, sacrificing people to increased Ukrainian activity, and the Ukrainians are continuing to hit refineries. There is some evidence, not a lot, because I don't think that the frequency is as high as it should be or could be. I mean, I don't think it's that different than other things happening before. In other words, the Ukrainians have been doing their business on Crimea, and Crimea has had a couple of bridges, hit by the Ukrainians, which doesn't fully, isolate Crimea, but it does force people to take very long detours on the land bridge side, the non-Kerch bridge side of Crimea. And so, you add another trip because you have to, go up towards Kherson, make a quick right turn, come back south, then go east. And it's partially because that the Ukrainians have in one, was it the M14 or whatever highway, and have been attacking military targets on the roadway. So civilians aren't getting hit at all, but if you're in a military vehicle on the M14 or whatever the hell it is, you're getting attacked, and so that's happening. There's a lot of exploding vehicles. The coverage. The Ukrainians have been doing what they do. They have long range stuff. They have some new advantages, and it's of things. I mean, they have a drone mothership, and there's a whole bunch of other weird things that they tried out. So all that is good. I think a couple of weeks ago, an F-16 knocked down a drone, which is nice. The relative proportion of costs in terms of drones to getting hit by evening out a little bit. I think that the Ukrainians are fairly um, cost efficient. Let's put it that way. Which is dissimilar from the stuff that's happening in Iran, because the Iranians have bragged about knocking down a bunch of things. They knocked down a Reaper a drone the other day. Apparently, the U.S. hit an oil tanker of some kind. It was an empty one, so there wasn't a huge environmental disaster. And so that there was an exchange of missiles. The Iranians have decided that they're not the last barrage only hit U.S. bases as opposed to the more specific directed one against certain Gulf states. So they're being quite, sort of prudent about the crossfiring of missiles. And of course, the story is much bigger in the Iranian sense because it's still about tying, and which I don't think is very clear in the memorandum of understanding about the Israeli Hezbollah thing that's going on right now. I mean, there is reporting for it. The Israelis have been bombarding the air. I mean, you can just look at the way that the things that they've struck, and then of course Hezbollah has been a little bit prudent in their attacks, and being moderately successful in using specific drone technologies and other things. So there's a kind of weird electronics war going on. I think because the Israelis sort of thought that the Hezbollah folks didn't have enough tech to do what they're doing, but apparently they are. So there's that. So back to Ukraine. Um, the territorial thing, makes no sense anyway, because it's really only a small amount of land that has gone sort of back and forth. There's a small area that is the primary area in the southeast for Russian advancement. And for every advancement they've made, the Ukrainians have come back and sort of gained other stuff. So it moves back and forth, but with no greater advantage that has been built from this. And so you have other things going on in the background. Armenia, Azerbaijan, Kyrgyzstan. There's stuff going on that is part of this larger kind of churning that's going on in terms of Russia. Now, last week, during the big military-industrial complex summit that Russia runs out of Leningrad, St. Petersburg, the Ukrainians decided that not only would they bomb stuff at the beginning of the conference, they bombed stuff at the end of the conference up in St. Petersburg. So if you were going to this conference, you're going to see, you were seeing plumes of smoke from a variety of industrial infrastructure sites that got hit by missiles. And it sort of puts the kibosh on how secure Russia is, which has freaked a bunch of people out. And so there's that. I don't think it appears that it has not really affected air defense. I mean, they put all that stuff there from Victory Day, the Victory Day celebration, and so I don't think they moved a lot of it from an air defense point of view. So the same resources are sitting around, but it freaked them out. It just freaks them out. I mean, they're just thinking that drones are coming all over the place. There was an incident that had to do with stopping certain kinds of trucks because they were just paranoid that they all had drone launchers in them, which was a pretty interesting little anecdote in the context of the current war. The other background is that there's still mobilization issues on the Russian side in terms of personnel. There's not much news about how they press ganged other folks, allied folks, to fight for them, and there's not much commentary about how they're getting killed in the battlefield, mainly in the eastern part of Ukraine, and Luhansk and Donetsk. So that's kind of what's going on. Well, it looks like it's frying, Joe.
Yeah, we got them fried. Just checking to see if they're done inside. I think they can go a little bit longer.
Yum.
Was there a call for questions?
There was.
Indeed.
Did you
Carry on.
happen to already comment on taking those weather measuring, those various measuring devices out of the ocean?
Oh, no, not at all. $350 million of equipment.
I talked about that on Bring the News the other week, a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I mean, it's insane. It is totally insane because there's a whole point to doing that relative to science, and to just pull them out, because more equipment is going to have to be reallocated anyway at some bright and shining moment. Now, whether there's a sort of a sub, that they're going to try and sell new equipment. This is the whole tier background crap that's going on. So there may be enough story there, but the reality, of course, is destruction of many portions of the federal government, and that some of which will have to be restored, not unlike the restoration that had to occur in the last couple of months because all those idiots who just arbitrarily went around and did stupid stuff, and a lot of that got rolled back. Literally every week there's something that had to be reinstated because these dummies started firing people because for some reason, spurious reasons, stupid reasons, because they weren't very smart, and they just it's like this weird of minion things that Elon is engaged in. He likes to sort of think of that as
this particular one about the measuring stations in the ocean. That's the kind of science that takes decades to rebuild, if you
absolutely
possibly can. I mean, it's so devastating for.
Mainly because
we will not
need all
know
that data.
I just on a totally selfish personal level, I need to know when that great ocean conveyor belt is shutting down because it's already too goddamn cold here.
Do you think the main motivation is just part of making it denying climate change and just taking away as much information as possible?
That's part of it. I mean, it's why they killed they're killing the Weather Service, right?
Or
Mhm.
I mean,
privatization.
yeah, well, part of it is privatization, that you should have to subscribe for your weather as opposed to having it reported to you for free. Yeah, it's just, I mean, is it anti-democratic? Is it, yeah, well, I mean, you'd think that people believe in a certain degree of capitalism, they take advantage of those things. But on the other hand, they're very committed to this kind of fragmentation and destruction.
Yeah.
It's this whole smash and grab that is going on that will the next 3 years. It's really unfortunate that's going to happen because he's going to do this, or his little minion, Trump's minions, and the Democrats are going to run around trying to fix takes us away from actually doing interesting things. So there's that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They've said it's destroying certain sectors of the economy for literally decades. I mean, there's certain things that have been just sort of messed up that we can't really recover from. I
Yeah.
mean, we've already lost at least 1 year's worth of development simply because of this meddling by Trump in pre-existing. It forced people in certain states to get the lawyers out and to try to fix that problem, and it just, I mean, $928 million to the not build or not for or build wind farms on the Atlantic side of the United States, and invest in fossil fuel developments in Texas. It's just it a little unseemly. Let's put it that way. It's just skeezy crap. Anyway,
And can you hear me?
Oh, go outside, James.
Can you hear? Okay, going outside.
you raised your hand.
All right, we're all done. Look at those green.
Yeah,
So
I
healthy.
just wanted to ask. I wanted to ask Ann, what would it take for California to buy PG&E, and
Oh, well,
what's stopping this?
well, I mean, with all due respect, the state, and this is Newsom's fault. I mean, this is one of the reasons why one can't fully support Gavin Newsom. When that huge fire that wiped folks
Paradise
and
and all that.
killed a bunch of people,
Yeah.
Paradise.
83 people. Yeah.
I mean, that was the moment to seize PG&E. I mean, the state would have gone, people would have gone along with it, but now it's just hasn't quite happened that way. The circumstances don't weigh in that. I mean, there are people who have talked nationalizing, as it were, PG&E, but it's bound up with other issues that have to do with the Public Utilities Commission and a bunch of other stuff that make it appear as though it's being more fair when in fact it isn't. I mean, it's just in California, it's essentially, well, I mean, there are other smaller companies, but essentially it's a duopoly with Southern California, Edison and PG&E.
I just
Anyway,
checked
yeah,
my utility bill, and I'm paying $1.55 a kilowatt hour here at my house. I think that's outrageous.
Yes, it is.
$1.55 a kilowatt hour.
Indeed, it is.
Wow. Okay,
Susanna
thank you for your
asked a
comment.
question in the chat. Fine, thank you. Susanna asked a question about who's making money removing the cables. Well, that's part of it too. I mean, you always have to look at the ancillary activities. For example, when the U.S. seized Maduro and gained its sort of place, essentially leveraged Chevron's position in Venezuela, the people who gained from it are a bunch of folks who own refineries in Texas. So there's a whole bunch of other things going on, and the guy who owned the refineries was a donor. I mean, it's just the corruption is all there. It's just it's just amazing that nothing is being done, or very little is being done about it. Now, and the timetable's all screwed up anyway. The fact that Trump invaded Iran was sort of off schedule. I mean, I think my interpretation of it was that they had all the assets in place to invade Cuba, and they didn't. They couldn't because of Iran. I mean, they had all the assets in place because they were doing Venezuela. I mean, they really did have it was overkill. So essentially, they had all the assets to invade Cuba, but they didn't, or do something in Cuba. So the current issue is do the same, shell game with negotiations with Cuba. And I don't, it's all a mess, because if they try to arrest Raul Castro, he's probably not going to survive the arrest, because he's 94 years old or whatever. So there's a whole bunch of other stupid things that are occurring. But of course, he was in the clink, and his wife is in the clink, and there's not enough written about her, which I would hope that someone would actually write it. It's a human interest story, but that the fact is she never gets mentioned. Well, she hardly gets mentioned, and she was a functionary, a different kind of functionary in the Venezuelan government. But anyway, so there's that. Maduro will reemerge simply because the news cycle kind of requires it for Trump, that because the Venezuela thing is still so embarrassing. Ultimately, I mean, with what's her name giving her Nobel Prize, the physical prize, to Trump, and Trump accepting it. I mean, it's just bizarre to have made a gift out of the Nobel Prize, the medal that you've received, and you give it to somebody else because you think that's going to curry favor. Apparently it didn't. So there's that.
I've got some comments to make. Can you hear me?
Please, John.
Yeah.
Yes. Carry on.
I wanted to go back to Graham Plattner. So let's start with the tattoo. I believe he got this tattoo when he was 20 years old. He was drunk with a bunch of his military buddies who, in a spirit of camaraderie and toxic masculinity, went and got a tattoo, to show their esprit de corps, as it were. I think it's plausible that he didn't know that was a symbol of used by the Nazis.
Used by the SS.
Yeah.
It seems to me if you watch enough movies, you'll know that the death's head was sort of a standard symbol for all the SS, even the Waffen SS.
Again, a 20-year-old, 70 years after World War II. I don't know.
My issue
I don't know.
with
Bad judgment going in the military to begin with. Yes.
Well, that's part of it too.
Well, a lot of people do not have many, choices when it comes to
well,
that.
I mean, Hegseth's tattoos are equally weird, but Hegseth
no, they're not
has his own
equally
ideological
weird.
position.
Because they're backed up by his stated ideological positions.
Oh, well,
Uh,
that's true.
is there anything that Graham Plattner has said that he indicates he's a supporter of Nazism or fascism?
No, but the
That's kind of
fact is,
important, I would say,
well,
isn't it?
it's partially about military culture. I
Yeah.
mean, I mean, there are Marine units. I wrote a little thing on it that
Well, that's my
is sort of
point.
as the SS, because they were a Marine, recon unit, scout snipers, which is SS. The fact is that they picked the lightning, the two SS lightning symbols that were originally designed by Hitler himself. So, uh, whatever
Well,
people
he
are.
didn't have the lightning symbols on him, right? He had
No,
the,
he had the death's head, the
yeah,
Totenskopf, whatever the hell it is.
Totenkampf. Yeah. Um, so I don't know. I think that his excuse for that was plausible. There is no other statements that he's made to show that he's a fascist. In fact, all of the statements he's made since he's run for the Senate have been in the progressive direction. And
Yes,
there are very few of those in the Senate. So I would think that would be quite important to have someone in
I
there
agree.
who's actually a progressive.
I agree.
So I just like to
I
say,
agree. I mean,
I'd like to say to all the centrists and all of the hand-wringing Zionist Democrats out there, when you were lecturing progressives about supporting a guy who couldn't shuffle across a debate stage, who couldn't put a cohesive sentence together, that we had to support him because it was blue, vote blue no matter who. And we had Joe Biden, who was so completely physically impaired and mentally impaired that it became dramatically apparent to the nation that he could not run for president and that his people were lying to the American people about his physical and mental condition. I'd like to say to them and to the people who said we had to support Kamala Harris, even though she was supporting a genocide, to shut the fuck up and support the
Family,
Democratic
sure.
candidate for the Senate in Maine. Shut
Indeed.
the fuck up. I hope I'm being clear on it.
So I didn't know that Hassan Abi had joined our group.
I mean, come on, people. Are you for real? We have actual fascists in the government. And you're
But
holding
John,
this guy,
communism.
you're calling this guy a
Communism, John.
fascist because he has a tattoo that he got when he was in the goddamn military, which is a fascist organization. You're holding him accountable, but you're not holding the people who are in power now on the other side? Are you kidding me? Grow the fuck up, people. Grow up. We don't have any other choice. I expect your enthusiastic support of this guy. And if you can't do that, then I don't know if you've heard this before, but you should shut the fuck up.
You need to start.
Tell
a
us how
YouTube
you
channel.
really feel.
Yeah, those are my,
You got to start a YouTube channel, Prof. John.
Indeed.
I
John,
did actually. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm in contact with friends and family outside of our little cult here, and I'm telling you, they don't realize that fascism is here. Just don't get it.
Well,
I mean, we have an actual fascist who's the Secretary of Defense.
Yeah.
Who is
this question,
along with the president, personally liable for murder dozens of times over.
Indeed.
I have a question that is somehow pertinent to this, I believe. So earlier, I realized this is what I wanted to ask earlier, because I had heard Anley talking about, how Trump does these outrageous things over and over. Someone's you know, and because he's daring us to do anything, and someone's got to step forward and do something. So I keep noticing in my YouTube feed these titles on various channels that say the pitchforks are coming out. Do you see any evidence of that?
There's
Well, I
there's
think
no
people are
mass
keeping their
movements that.
powder.
Yeah.
I think that everyone's keeping their powder dry. I mean, you could go to so many No Kings rallies. It it's really tense, I think, and it's this sort of everyone is, I think, hoping the Democrats are going to get back in power, but to John's position on this, it's really important for us to see actually on, and that there's a lot more subtlety to it. My other issue, Death's Head thing, tattoo, is that there's a difference between getting a tattoo that covers up a tattoo and spending the money to actually have it lasered off.
But
Too
does it
cheap.
matter? You can't see it anymore. Does it matter if it was laser? Actually, if he lasered it off, you would probably still be able to see the outline of it, even after a dozen laser removal procedures. So it's actually more effective to tattoo over it. Now, you know how I feel about fascists, and you know how I feel about tattoos. I hate them both. But I mean, come on. Really?
I mean, they brought up the Susan Collins affairs that
Susan
came
Collins
up
has
in an
voted to
earlier.
support the fascist agenda at every turn. Where she could have been effective, she declined to be effective to stop it.
Indeed. Yep.
So what are we talking about here?
Well, you get character attacks and stuff that come with the territory. Lynn has a question.
Lynn has a question, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey there,
I
Lynn.
cannot move a video. Oh, well, let me see. Okay, can you hear? Wait,
Yes,
barely?
we can hear you.
Can you barely hear me?
No,
Okay,
we can hear
all
you
right.
well.
Oh, good. Just 1 second. Okay. I thought I would jump in with a little news from California. In the Central Valley, you may have heard of this guy running for Congress, Randy Villegas. There was another Democrat, corporate Democrat, running against him. We had our primary June 3rd, and I haven't been here for a long time because I've been walking the precincts, walking and knocking on doors. I knocked, to be honest, they told me I did alone 20% of all the doors the whole campaign knocked every day, Monday through Friday, Monday, whatever, every single day, 10 to 6, walking and knocking and talking. And I speak, I mean, it's not lucky, but I'm happy that I speak Spanish as well, because I got to practice it a lot. And what happened, like Cinco de Mayo, around 4th of May, we were campaigning hard, but the party, the DCCC, decided to come out and support his opponent, Jasmeet Bains. And that pissed me off bigly, like I could not believe it. I couldn't believe it. And so I texted Randy and I go, get on the majority report. I think they want to talk to people from California. And he got on. Emma Vigeland interviewed him, and that was wonderful. And then I called the Tom Hartman show and I ranted about it. And I don't know if it made a difference, but that made a difference. But it so infuriated me that I campaigned way harder than I was before, and that's why Randy beat that, the DCCC and also DMFI came in. And what I found was everything was going well I was presenting positive facts about Randy for the bulk of the, the trip. But as soon as early voting started, all of a sudden, here comes DMFI with the pitchforks. They did come out. And
Mm,
they, like he has such a great story. I'd love to tell you. I'd love to share it. But the negative story, they go, yeah, he's on the school board in Visalia and he voted to protect a child molester or something stupid like that. And of course
weird.
they make, yeah,
Mhm.
just out of the blue. And yeah, they are probably going to do the same thing, close to November. The other side now, it's the Republican David Valadao, but I suspect that the party centrists, the corporate party, Democrats are going to come in, and they don't. At first, I thought that I would never have to go back if we just survived the primary, and it was so wonderful that he won that. But I suspect that they're not going to fight to flip the seat because the corporate Democrats want to prove that only centrists can win, not
Well,
progressives.
I don't disagree with you at all. There's a lot of other factors at work. Note that, was it yesterday or whatever, there was reporting that the FBI was out interviewing uh people who were registering people to vote. So you yourself
Mhm.
should be very careful.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah,
They
I'm
If you
need
ready.
warrants. They need warrants.
don't dox yourself, but if you're on an iPhone and
Yeah.
you're an activist, you should be in secure mode, lockdown mode, it's called. It's in your
Mhm.
settings, uh, permissions or security, something like that. And then down at the
Mhm.
bottom of that screen,
Mhm.
lockdown mode. That'll restart your phone in a way
Mhm.
that locks out certain uh, means of you being
Int-
tracked. It automatically shuts down when if so. Basically, we get stopped. You're not going to be able to them grab your phone and then
Mhm.
force it open. So there's a number of things you can protect. I'm not exactly sure what the equivalent is on Android, but you can do that. So I highly recommend getting
Thank
your
important. Those are
mobile
important things.
devices locked down.
Well,
We're
if
getting
you do
close.
that,
We should
Mm.
talk
if you,
about our schedule.
Oh,
And
what?
John,
And Lynn, you had more to say?
well, I just
Lynn,
had a question on that. I mean, there's this program that we use as canvassers called PDI. I forget what it stands for, Democratic Initiative or something. But that's how we find the voters and find the addresses and stuff. So
Mhm.
if I'm in lockdown mode, can I access the program
It
that
depends.
I need?
You can enable certain apps
Okay.
that you need or require, but
Okay. All right.
you just have to test it out to see what works and what doesn't, what shuts you out. So
Hmm.
um,
Well,
yeah.
thank you for that.
Mm.
I have my homework to do because I am going to go back in a couple weeks when it's like 105
Mm.
degrees. It's going to be hard
Okay.
and hot, but I'm going to
Okay.
go back and
I
fight
can
some
email
more.
you details
Okay. Oh, that'd be great.
because you're not on
Great.
the Discord, right?
Well, I'm on it,
Yeah.
but I don't ever go on it.
All right.
Email
Well,
works for me.
we'll do both.
Okay, perfect. Thank
okay.
you.
Oh,
Well, we only
schedule.
have a couple more minutes before the Alfred Hitchcock presents. So, John, if you want to talk a little bit about that, and then we'll reel quickly through the weekly schedule. John,
Yes. I just wanted to say I have to shout out to Lynn. I can rant and rave a lot, but she actually goes out for a month or 6 weeks or however long it was and fights and works to get a progressive uh, as the to win the primary out there. So I want to congratulate her and say,
yes,
that's the real
kudos.
work that needs to be done. Um, yeah. So tonight, Alfred Hitchcock presents we have an episode called Triggers in Leash. And it stars Gene Barry, Darren McGavin,
Oh,
Ellen Corby, and Casey McGregor. And I'll be showing that real soon.
there's no
Excellent.
wooden stakes involved in
No
this
wooden
one, are there?
stakes from
Oh,
Darren
phew.
McGavin.
Oh,
He's sticking with his 6-shooter.
got nervous there for a moment.
Yes.
Indeed. At 10-ish, there will be Silicon Valley. I don't know if Travis wants to talk about that. It continues to be interesting. Even you may think it's dated, but it actually works pretty well. It's still quite relevant. On Saturday, unclear to me. There will be the New Statesman with Lane at 5 o'clock. I don't know if Lane wants to talk about that. At 7 o'clock, the Saturday Night Theater will have a TV classic night with Susanna. Susanna, you want to talk a little bit about that?
Oh yeah, hi, thanks. Yeah, definitely. I want to show a probably the jewel in the crown of the Dick Powell Theater anthology series. This is an episode with Peter Falk and Inger Stevens, and who Peter Falk won his first Emmy in this role, and Miss Stevens earned her first Emmy nomination for this. The writing was nominated,
Cool.
and if you're around, it's just a really great episode with a couple of actors I know a lot of us really enjoy. So thanks.
And also, you're going to show The Defenders, right? A episode
Yes,
of
if
The
there's
Defenders.
time, I have a pretty amazing Defenders episode with guest starring Frank Gorshin, which is pretty amazing.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. There will be music after that on Sunday. Well, Next Generation.
Oh,
What's that episode going to be like at 5 p.m. on Sunday,
well,
John?
it's going to be a good one. Chief O'Brien is getting married, and we're going to meet his wife. But also there's some intrigue going on as well. It's a good episode. It's called Data's Day, and I think you'll enjoy it.
John, just one
Keiko.
question. How on earth, how in space has the convention of marriage lasted? They got rid of money,
Well,
but they kept marriage?
It's totally voluntary, Joe.
Okay.
Not to worry.
But they don't have taxes. I mean, the state's not involved. I'm lost on this. Very lost. Seems
I don't know.
anachronistic.
Do
Yeah.
they have no fault divorce?
I don't think divorce has ever been covered in a Star Trek episode, but I could be wrong.
No,
Everybody gets along and works things out.
Yeah, man.
I guess. So
Counselor
Lane's going to
Troy.
have. Lane, are you going to still do porridge?
I think he just dropped in for a few minutes and dropped
And then
out.
split. Well, Lane has been showing us the one half of the two Ronnies, and it may seem a little anachronistic, but it's actually quite interesting and reminds us, you can do prison comedy. But anyway, so that happens after Star Trek Next Generation. I don't know if Nate wants to talk about Malcolm Harris's book, Palo Alto, which is what we've been reading together on Mondays at 8 Eastern Time. Nate?
No,
Nate's
just
on.
thank you for helping out while I'm in Missouri. I'm going to be gone one more week.
All right. Yes, some of us have been filling in the reading. It may seem slow. It's just a very, it's a pretty big book, but also quite interesting. I mean, quite revelatory in that particular sense. On Tuesday. And I don't know if Bruce is here. Bruce can talk a little bit about the Red Hour at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 o'clock
We'll have a
Central.
story. I'm still looking for one. I think it's going to be by an author, contemporary author, George Saunders. But I haven't read the stories yet to pick the story. So that'll be Tuesday night. I'll post it tomorrow.
And now I'm hungry again. Wednesdays
Speaking
at
of
6.
prison,
I did.
I've got your meal here.
Okay.
Prison plates. Got
Hey.
the lovely, very green dish here. Got the stinging nettle and goutweed and what was the other one there? Oh, lady's mantle pakora with a number of spices. We made wild ramps chutney and apple molasses chutney. There we go. There you go, Arjun. Made it for you.
Nicer in season, the brief season. Anyway, on Wednesday I do a little Wednesday office hour, and I was doing deconstruction last week. We may do more deconstruction this week, mainly because I didn't get too far in it, but there's other stuff to talk about certainly, and we'll see. Anyway, there's that, and that's our. We need to get on to Alfred Hitchcock. We'll try and do better next week. Thanks, everyone.
Ciao. Toodaloo.
Wow.